everybody. Welcome. This is, I guess, our third meeting of the Planning, Zoning, Town, and Village Boards Forum. Sort of just an open forum of sharing information, giving reports on any progress, any issues, and things facing your different areas that you represent. I'm going to give a report from the Putnam County Chambers of Commerce. For 2012, our big focus was we did a industrial and business cluster study. Bill, if you can go to the next slide. So our goals for 2013 is very much about collaboration. Our first goal will be to fill vacancies, working with Putnam County tourism, local municipalities, and media to market to and attract the businesses identified in the 2012 Putnam County Chamber of Commerce Industry Cluster Study. The next couple of slides are just some of the initiatives that we will be working towards on a countywide basis. People and quality. Develop education and business partnerships to build a local workforce development pipeline, bringing them back here when they graduate from college. Engage K-12 students with community service initiatives and other experiential learning opportunities. Work with local colleges to help graduating students find local careers. Identify and engage partners among top local businesses and industries to mentor students. Develop avenues for such activities in coordination with school district, community, and elected leaders. Growth. Utilize downtown business meetings to work with recruit groups of small businesses, creating a specific agenda for each local business community. Part of the Putnam County Chambers of Commerce Community Development Program initiative includes spending time in meetings with small businesses to determine meaningful ways to help them strengthen their immediate business community. We intend to ask them what they need as a group and then work to deliver. In the course of working with them, we naturally expect to increase the membership of the local Chamber of Commerces. Community. Build a community development program in conjunction with Putnam County. Build a prototype for a new type of chamber involved in the community, bringing together the chambers, large and small businesses, government entities, civic groups, concerned citizens, or other business organizations, and the education system together to make a difference in specific local locations. And for this year, identify one project in each town. So to sum it up, for 2013, what we're calling phase 2 of our industry cluster, which started out with our industry cluster study, is to market to and attract identified clusters from industry cluster study, target one site in every town for a community development project, work with local chambers as partners, obtain in-kind assistance from Putnam County corporations, coordinate local volunteer efforts, develop and exploit economic benefits of community improvement projects, hold group sessions with local businesses in all towns, provide a status report to the Economic Development Corporation and Committee of Progress on our 2013 project goals and funding requests. Never before has the opportunity to make a difference been so great, and the consequences for not doing so even more dire than today. Economic uncertainty on a large scale calls for numerous small-scale, focused public-private partnership efforts to help independent businesses not only survive, but thrive. Quality of life issues matter because we are all local residents. Give our children every reason to build their careers here rather than to move to faraway places in search of economic prosperity. is vital to the success of not only Putnam County, but our entire region, and is being aggressively pursued in other parts of the state. So that is the focus of the chamber, and that is our report to you guys. We've done a lot in the last, even since 6 months ago when we met, and we decided that we should be doing this twice a year. And I hope to hear great things from each of your towns and villages. So I have, oh, I gotta put the lights back on. It is very romantic this way, but they might spread rumors, Anthony. We don't want that. You're too new. So I have two guests with me this evening that I'll introduce, but they're going to give their reports a little after they hear from all of you guys. But we have now a full-time county planning commissioner, Mr. Anthony Ruggiero. And if you haven't met him, he's extremely accessible and wonderful. And we have a full-time EDC president, Ms. Megan Taylor, and I could say the same for her. I'm very excited to work with both of you. So I guess we'll start to my left and just introduce yourself and a progress report.
Okay. My name is John Malloy. I'm on the planning board in Carmel. I'm only sitting next to Jen because we're sitting in height order. And I can tell you that Carmel is prospering. Things are going well. Vacancies are down. New building is up. People are moving to Carmel. Real estate prices are improving. Things are looking very well. Thank you.
I'm with the Town of Kent Zoning Board. My name is Robert Bradley, and we're with I guess everybody knows the Town of Kent and the problems that we have up there. We have a new sewer system coming in eventually, and we have an arts center that I'm the president of that we're trying to use to revitalize and to get some reason for people to come to the Town of Kent. So now you can go to the monastery, you can go to a few nice restaurants, and you can come visit my art center. And we're trying to use that. We've had extremely good success with that, and we've had a lot of the people who work in New York City and various plays, and certainly the music. And we're having an outdoor music concert this summer, and I certainly invite you all to attend. And that we're trying to use certainly use the arts to put, I guess, to make Kent different from some of the other towns in Putnam County.
Hi, good evening. My name is Craig Paper. I'm with the Zoning Board of Carmel. And to follow up on Robert's point, we have been seeing numerous activity every month come in front of the Zoning Board, anywhere from 6 to 8 different cases every month. So it has seemed to be fairly busy.
Can you pass that mic this way instead?
I'm Rose Fabiano. I'm also from the Town of Carmel on the Zoning Board. I would have to say that we are very involved in recreation. That's a very strong contingent in the town. We also have music festivals, and every week, I believe, during the summer. And we are continuing to thrive.
I should just mention, because I didn't, if you don't remember or you weren't at the last two meetings, the two clusters that we did identify were arts and culture and commercial recreation.
I'm Ron Taylor, Patterson Planning Board. I think I'll leave our report to our Vice Chairman.
Hi, I'm Mike Leonard, Phillipstown Planning Board Chair. We've seen an increase in this last year for commercial. Also residential has improved. Those of us obviously on the Hudson River obviously had to deal with Sandy's issues, so that caused some problems for our businesses and some residential on the lower-lying areas. So that was an issue. We're in process with our first wind turbine applications, and that's proving very, very interesting as to exactly how that will go about being approved and under what standards. Also, hydrofracking, excuse me, also is a key issue for us as well. We are taking a clear look at tourism, like each of the towns in Putnam. We're taking a look at the commuter rail, and obviously the fact that Putnam is certainly within an hour of New York City, and we're taking a look at hiking trails. We're trying to expand our trolley system to be able, we had a meeting this last weekend with the town of Fishkill to try to be able to work together to be able to provide a service that goes up the Hudson River and maybe actually improves businesses such that they may be able to turn into overnights more than just simply coming up for the day. Thank you.
I'm Bill Nalk. I'm the president of the Putnam County Chambers, and I'm just here to help things come along.
Richard Rushala, I'm zoning board chairman in the Village of Brewster. I think I should not say anything, otherwise we have 6 members here from the Village of Brewster, which I think is one heck of a show. And I think we should all applaud that one in its own way. So I'll leave that part to them. And I'm also on the IDA. Last week we produced a press release showing that Glass and Metal Solutions put out a $2.5 million project where they're going to have 12 to 14 people employed. And we're excited about that. We have other deals coming down the pike, some of them due to confidentiality we can't talk about, but one of them is very, very large. We have Megan Taylor now, who's going to be leading economic development. And for those of you who don't know, their role and ours is EDC becomes the funnel, and they basically put out all the deals and put them to the right places. And by doing that, we all benefit, like a Red Carpet Alliance, or like what the Chamber was talking about with Jennifer Marr. So we're very excited about that, and we hope to put together a lot of large economic deals between now and then.
They have a mic.
They have a mic.
Well, you can let Renee, she's on the planning.
She's on planning. 7 people here.
Good evening, Renee Diaz, Brewster Village Planning.
Do you want to join us at this? Come on up. Pull a chair up, which I feel a part of.
I think I'm going to talk that much.
I complained that we didn't have enough village people. Now that you're called the village people.
Well, I'm Mark Anderson from Brewster Planning, and I guess the big news is a sewer and water project that we put in several years ago may be about to be able to handle some projects to help pay for it.
Rick Stockberger, Village Planning Board, and I'll pass off to my wife.
Smart man.
I'm Terry Stockberger, and I'm one of the trustees in the Village of Brewster, and I'm not going to say anything, and I'm going to let these 2 guys talk. Oh, but today is Rick's birthday.
Hi, I'm Peter Hansen. I'm with the Village of Brewster as the clerk and treasurer, and as the only full-time person around, I'm pretty much the hub for anybody who wants to do anything with us. But I'll say that we are looked on as the bad child, and I think we're being misunderstood.
Jim Schoenig, Village Mayor. I think to echo on what Mark said is that we've just gone through some big infrastructure with our sewer and water, and we've already sat down with Megan and Anthony to look at what we can do. I guess the big news is that, you know, we're out there to tell the people that the Village of Brewster is open for business. What can we do for you? And we're willing to work with people.
I'm Christine Pacini. I'm the deputy mayor in the Village of Brewster, and I just wanted to share that I think in 2008 we benefited from a niche marketing plan that came through Putnam County, and over this past week I had the opportunity to meet with Ellen Pemrick, who did the niche marketing plan, and in updating her I realized how extensive the list of things that have changed since 2009 within the village is, and it's exciting because we are on doing what we say we're doing. We're beginning our revitalization and our rebirth, and it's very exciting.
Thank you.
Hi, Colin Perch, Chairman of the Planning Board of Town of Southeast and Chairman of the Putnam County Economic Development Board. And I'd like to congratulate Megan Taylor on being appointed the president. And we finally have a seat at the table again on a regional basis. It's a very, very big deal for us that we have a full-time president now in this economic climate. And I want to congratulate Anthony on accounting planning. And I will tell you, since the last meeting that occurred here, I convinced my town board to give me money and funding to revisit our comprehensive plan. And I want to thank the mayor, and I want to thank Anthony, and Megan's going to join us shortly. We are halfway through reviewing our use codes and zoning amendments. We want to make sure that we're not missing opportunities, and we were. Outside storage. What other uses are, in our gateway zones were prohibited 10 years ago when Brewster and Town of Southeast thought we were going to be in the next White Plains with all the big buildings. It wasn't happening. So we called a timeout, we got the funding, and we're halfway through, and the public's been fabulous in terms of giving us input of what they'd like to see. So we're very excited, and the county's at the table, and the mayor's been great in terms of helping us out. And the other big thing that we have to talk about tonight is the New York City watershed agreement. It's coming due, and we have to renegotiate our deal. I think it stinks the way it went down, and I think it's an opportunity for us to revisit that opportunity.
Hi, Tom
Thank
McNulty,
you.
Patterson Planning Board. Not much to report on arts and recreation other than Thunder Ridge did well this winter. We have an art gallery in Front Street, seems to be doing well. And we've had several new businesses open in town, a new saddle and tack shop for equestrian lovers. And we're focusing on Commerce Drive up off Fair Street, trying to find out how we can swap some of the wetlands and get some commercial development there. So there's things happening, things are picking up on the agenda, and I look forward to this year.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Like everybody said, I think I'm Megan Taylor. I'm the new president of the EDC. And I just kind of want to reiterate, I'm sure what Anthony is going to say, but we are, we've been working very closely together, and welcome anybody that would like to sit down with us. I know we met with the mayor in the Village of Brewster and his team already, but what we're here to help. And I think that's really what I wanted to get across at this meeting too. The EDC is going to be the marketing arm for the entire county. And we really, I would like, and when I say we, I'm talking Anthony and I, because right now the EDC is me. But we want to know what your plans are for development, and we would like to help you enhance the marketing efforts of your municipality and make sure that the masses outside of Putnam County understand the opportunities and the strengths here. I think there are so many untapped resources in the county and great room for opportunity for future growth moving forward. We do, like Tom was saying, just to reiterate a little bit, Hudson Valley, I have a board seat on the Hudson Valley Economic Development Corporation, which is the EDC that covers the entire Hudson Valley, a 7-county region. They had their last board meeting in Putnam County at our request last week, 2 weeks ago already. Time is flying by. We were up at Glenwood, and I can tell you that the buzz is already starting for Putnam. They were not even, they had no idea where they were going. They said, you brought us on a dirt road. We're driving up a mile up a mountain, but it was beautiful. It was a great meeting. There was a lot to report on, and there's a lot going on in the valley, and I think that Putnam is absolutely going to be at the forefront of a lot of the things that are going on. Anthony sits on the Mid-Hudson Regional Council with the governor and all of that with the CFA process, and I'm sure he'll talk about that. But just to reiterate, I want you guys to know that we're working behind the scenes to make sure that Putnam County is not being forgotten, that we're fostering economic growth throughout the county.
Love it.
Thanks. I hope I live up to all that. Yeah, Anthony Ruggiero, obviously, Commissioner of Planning. Been in the job since January. I've been trying to get out there and meet everybody. And if I haven't, before I leave, if we can touch base and perhaps I can come to your boards, whether planning or zoning. And as Megan was saying, we're here for you. So anything we can do to help, any resources we can bring to the table. Again, I'm the county executive's appointment to the Regional Economic Development Council. In the CFA application, so if there's assistance we can do as far as that, let us know. If there's training, one thing I'm trying to work on is what I'm hearing and what I think I've seen is that hasn't been any formal training process that the county has initiated, at least that I haven't seen. So is there anything we can do? I was trying to set something up in the fall because everybody has to do their 4 hours. And I should say I have to do them also. I'm the vice chair of my planning board in Fishkill, so I have to take the same training you have to take. So I was looking for something in the fall so we could all kind of learn from that. I think that should be one of my roles. The other thing is we're looking on bringing in, hopefully by the end of the year, an additional planner, because I know we have to do those dreaded 239Ms, right? Nobody likes sending those. in countywide planning. I mean, I think that would be the role that I would envision for this new person that's coming on. I have experience, again, in, I came from Peekskill after 13 years, so in the arts, if there's anything I can do for that, Main Street redevelopment. And again, I think you need to look at us as your resource. So whatever we can do for you, you got to let us know, and we'll figure it out somehow. And we're there, and we're trying to make our way around the county together. And the regional transportation plan, I should probably touch upon that. The task force that Vinnie Tamania is heading up, we're coming into the home stretch on that. That's due by June. We're going, actually, we're doing I think we're going to make up T-shirts, because we're going to each town board and we're making a presentation. We're already 3 down.
And we're going to every chamber.
Yeah, I think we've got Phillipstown this week, I believe, that we're going to be going to. And so again, I mean, the transportation right now is a huge part of my budget, or the county's planning department budget. So any input we can get from you on how to better utilize that, how to make that more useful for our residents, is welcome. And I do encourage everybody to actually go on the bus. I think it's an experience that you should probably, in order to really see what happens, you should probably go on there.
You have to tell us where the bus stops are, because we have no clue.
It's a secret.
Yeah, I know. Excellent.
Can I
yeah,
add one thing?
absolutely.
Sorry, I want to reiterate the CFA process. And for those that don't know, I think we're kind of making assumptions right now. It's a consolidated funding application, and it is the application that any entity that wants funding from New York State needs to fill out in order to receive that funding, or in order to be in the running to receive that funding. We just held a CFA forum where Amy Vargas, who's the regional director for Empire State Development, came down and gave an overview as to the process of the CFA, what you can expect on the forum, and things like that. And what I want to reiterate is that any infrastructure upgrades that you're looking at through your municipalities, there's a lot of things that people don't understand that you have to fill out the CFA in order to be eligible for funding. So if you have questions, or if there's things that your municipalities are looking to do moving forward, and you don't know if they fall within the CFA, please give Anthony or I a call. I don't want there to be missed opportunities throughout the county. There's a lot of money on the table, but there's a lot of opportunity, like we said, in Putnam. And I know that a lot of you are planning really great things moving forward. And I would hate to see funding, potentially lost because an application wasn't filled out. So again, we're here to help on that.
Right. And if you need, if there's any information or data, please give me a call. We'll see if we can get that for your applications. When I was in Peekskill, our last round, we were successful with receiving 3 grant awards, so I do have some experience in writing those also. So again, anything we can do.
Is that only for infrastructure?
No, you can actually you can do comprehensive plans. My last round of Peekskill, we were awarded $50,000 for a comprehensive plan. So you can do it for comprehensive plans, for studies.
The River Walk in Westchester was granted dollars through Tarrytown and I think Sleepy Hollow, and there was a whole lot. Yep. Yeah. There's tourism dollars that are available. There's different industry cluster developments. It's a very broad. It's essentially the application that you need to fill out in order to be eligible for all of the buckets that Empire State Development has.
I'd just like to emphasize, the first year we got $8 million in Putnam County.
Yeah.
Last year we got nothing, but that's because we had no application.
You had one.
One applications. Yeah. So you got to be in it to win it.
And also, I think you've probably heard me say, or I write in the paper oftentimes, that Putnam County has this sort of inferiority complex. And it's because we haven't had a seat at the table. And someone said it, and it's perfect, because we do now. And so I get it. Like, sometimes we feel like, oh, well, whatever, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to do what we got to do in the status quo. But this is a huge opportunity. I think Putnam County is at an advantage because we are not overdeveloped. So there is opportunity, there's money out there, and we should definitely get our unfair share of the pie. One other thing on transportation, just Bill Noak and I have both taken a seat on the transportation committee, and we are really trying to bring a focus to have those buses be a resource to the commerce districts. Actually have the buses stop, have bus stops in the downtown areas and other areas of commerce throughout the county. So I have the map up in my office. I'm sure Anthony's office is available for you guys to look at. I have people in the room that I've spoken to. I'm speaking to stakeholders, commercial property owners, and business owners in those districts one-on-one, and we're traveling around to every Chamber of Commerce at their meetings to go over the map with them. That's huge. You know, that hasn't been looked at in how many years? Yeah, and if you look at the routes, it makes 0 sense. And how much money do we spend on it?
About 4 million.
Yeah, yeah. And how many people ride it? 400? Including you and John Sweeney. John Sweeney rides the bus.
Yeah.
160,000 people a year.
Ride the bus?
Yes, 160,000 rides.
Yeah, it's
No,
rides.
it's not 160. It's about
rides.
400 people.
I don't think. Yeah, it's rides.
It's 160,000 rides a year.
Right.
Right.
But it's about 400 people
But I
total.
think, yeah, I mean, I think it's important because you need to distinguish, which I didn't realize coming into the job. There's the public transportation portion, which is the PART, the P-A-R-T that everybody sees. And that's about 4 buses a day, 8 buses a day, 4 in the morning, 4 at night. So we have about 14 buses total. But the large part of it right now, which is important and needs to actually, I think it's actually kind of one of those diamonds in the rough that you don't really know. I think it's been underutilized. I think the stops need to be better identified. We can do more advertising, more marketing of it itself, and better marketing of the uses and the locations. A lot of the transportation right now is centered around the para, the early intervention, the pre-K. So that takes up the majority of my 60 buses. So, but I think also that some of the things we're finding is that there's about 5 other regional bus companies that come into Putnam. Actually, we just had, and I'm trying to meet with them also. So I just met with Hart that comes in that runs actually 3 commuter shuttles, 2 out of the Brewster and 2 out of the Southeast. And then there's also one during the midday run out of the Brewster station into Danbury. So, I mean, I think if people want to go to the mall, I think that's also something that needs to be looked at. We've got the B line that comes into Westchester. There's also another commuter shuttle that runs in Carmel to the train station over there in Westchester. And there's also the Leprechaun commuter line that goes down to White Plains that runs along Route 9 in Phillipstown that nobody knew about. So and that runs. So there's a lot of moving parts that I don't think, you know, when you start looking at it in this map, actually the map is kind of interesting that Vinny put together. There's a lot of parts that people don't realize in the transportation. And the numbers actually have been declining because it's not as many as you think throughout the years, but that's something we want to change. So.
And it's a huge opportunity in attracting businesses to the county because they want their employees to be able to commute to work via public transportation. So it's like Pandora's box. You start thinking, oh, it's just infrastructure. We can't get people here because of the watershed restrictions, so on and so forth. But we've identified that public transportation is another key thing that why they're moving to Westchester and Connecticut. And we actually have the opportunity to have a bus going from east to west, which Westchester may never get. So I love that. So I'm excited about the transportation. I invite you guys to get excited about it because it is a huge opportunity and it could bring more people to your commerce districts. It could attract young people to Putnam County. Young people do not want to drive all the time. They want to be able to just get on a bus, get on a train, and go where they're going. So I think it's great. So thank you. So I'd like to discuss, I guess, any issues that you guys are. I know Tom. So I want to just get everybody else's brain. I love Tom. He makes me seem very calm. Yeah, I want you guys, as we're gonna start on the watershed issue, but this is your opportunity. You can vent here. Maybe we can come up with solutions and help each other work through our problems, because I can guarantee you in the different towns and villages, you have very similar issues that you're facing. And as much as you can, also to focus on the business community and commerce districts. So, Tom.
Yeah.
Do you need the mic?
No. No. Listen, I think what
He comes
Right,
with a
I don't.
disclaimer.
But here's what I've learned as chairman. I'm playing chairman of economic development now. Megan and I have been talking. One of the things that we're lacking in the county, if you go on our website, is ready-to-go projects. We do not have a good list of every town's projects or that might be available for a business to come to town. And I think that's one of the things on the agenda from the economic development that we're trying to work on very closely is saying, all right, when we get the lead from economic HVEDC from New York State, and it's a requirement for X, or 10,000 square feet, 50,000 square feet, we don't have a proper database. And I think one of the things that we need to really focus on is working with Megan and Anthony to figure out which towns have ready-to-go stuff. And that's a dialogue that we need to have with the planning boards and the town officials. So that is crucial to having a seat at the table because we didn't have a good database, okay? Another thing I think that we're lacking on a county level that Megan's been working on is a business email list, because everybody should be aware of these opportunities that come through, that there might be a 5,000 square foot tenant that's floating around from the state, or a startup company. Unless we have the right email list to push these featured property lists out, we're missing an opportunity, and that's what Megan brings from the Orange County Partnership, that kind of infrastructure. So I think we're heading in the right direction, but I think today, if you go home and say, listen, we heard something, we got to be ready for the opportunity. And unless you give the information to Megan, you're going to miss an opportunity. So that's my point of wanting to jump on this, because we're in good shape right now with these two people full time. It's like
we need them. We need to help them succeed, by the way, because we need them. The last thing we need is for people to say, oh yeah, see, we need these positions and we need these people in these positions because they actually are fabulous.
When Tom said ready-to-go sites, you're going to hear me referring to them as shovel-ready sites. And when I say shovel-ready, what I mean is that it has gone through the planning board. It has gone through any zoning board issues. Essentially, all that an entity would have to do is come before the planning board and maybe get an amended site plan approval or something in terms of that. But seeker has been complete. All permits are in place. Grading possibly could be done. I mean, it doesn't have to be done to be completely shovel-ready, but those are the types of sites that we're talking about. But there's one other thing that I just want to make sure that you understand what the EDC is going to be responsible for as well. We're all talking about attraction right now in terms of shovel-ready sites and getting the word out there. I don't want to lose sight of what we already have here. So if there are businesses that you see in your communities that are struggling, that are having issues, whether it be workforce or transportation or anything like that, please give me a call. There's other resources for businesses that are here in the county that they could potentially be taking advantage of, so we don't lose them to Connecticut or wherever else they're gonna be looking to go. So it's kind of a two-legged stool there. So just please keep that in mind as well.
And that brings us back to databases and vacancy rates. Tracking we have no clue. Like I'm the vice president of the Hudson Gateway Association of Realtors, and I sit at the board and I listen to Orange, Rockland, Westchester, and not Dutchess, but report, and they have their vacancy rates. They have all kinds of information that we just do not have, and it's hard to help the commerce districts when we have no clue, especially collectively. Look, there might be somebody who is looking in Carmel and it's just not a match. Let's get them over to Patterson. Let's keep them here in this county. The better the county does. But so we're working with Megan. We have an intern now who's going to be starting to work on that database, and we're going to be sharing information. But I'm excited just for that one thing, vacancy rates. Now, you wanted to talk about watershed. What happened? Someone give him the mic back.
Well, the watershed issue is very important. We're coming to the end. Mayor, I forget when the actual date is, but we're coming to 2015, and the technologies have changed substantially since we signed this memorandum of agreement with the city. And I think during this comprehensive plan review we're doing in the town of Southeast, we have fringe properties that border the village that the mayor's been talking about. Maybe, hey, we have excess capacity. Why can't we hook up some of these fringe properties in the town of Southeast to allow them to come online? But according to the memorandum of agreement, that we can't hook up any new development, okay? That's stupid. All right, that's economic development. That's stupid, okay? The other thing is you only can bring in failed septics into the new plants, correct, Mayor? I mean, that's my understanding of it. Yeah. My point is we can't expect any new growth under the current agreement. And that's what we need to revisit, because these plants are so efficient right now. The technology has advanced so much that I think it's time that we should say to them, hey, let's look at it again. Please, can we get something going? Because Route 22 in our corridor, we have 3 businesses right now that are looking to come to town. All 3, the perk tests have failed. Okay? And what do? You can't bring them to town. All right? And it's limiting the people that have septic fields at work to a kind of a, low water use. Okay? So we're kind of restricted on a couple different levels. So I think it's important that from the county that we have representation in a big way to say, let's revisit, the restrictions that we talked about 15 years ago. All right? So that's my watershed.
We'll start negotiating that next year is when we have to, so it's 2015, but we'll start the negotiations next year. And, I mean, just so he'll stop talking about it, I'll do anything to get it fixed. I mean, I think this is like the 4th presentation. Every time I see him.
But seriously, what's the realities of that? I've been in the county now, how many years? 16 years. And I've been having this conversation, and it's been like the token word, the key word, and blah, 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 we all talk about. What are the realities? And what are the realities of renegotiating that? I mean, we're in real estate, nothing survives closing. That was one big closing. How do you revisit it?
Well, everything's up for negotiation. The agreement is over. It's up for review, and we have to sign a new memorandum of agreement. Okay, so these are.
Excuse me, can you guys use the mic, please?
So the agreement, it's up for review in 2015.
Right, and that's where the county is going. The county is going to be sitting at the table, saying, "All right, listen, here's our thoughts." It's not only us. There's 7 other counties involved in this agreement. So I mean, I think there's going to be a compelling case on all the counties for economic development to say, start allowing us new development to add into the existing, increase your capacity, basically. That's all we're asking for. Increase the capacity because there's plenty of capacity out there to be had. I think that's a pretty simple question.
So how can this group right here collectively help with those negotiations?
I don't honestly know. I guess just really kind of, this group can, what Tom is doing, just giving us your input of kind of what, examples, specific examples, and what you're running into. So then when we do go to the table, we're talking intelligently, and we have the data and the backup, to present to the DEC and DEP.
And again, I think the agreement was written 15 years ago when sewer treatment plants were structured much differently than what they are now. So an obvious renegotiation is going to be pointing out the efficiency of these sewer treatment plants today compared to what they were 15 years ago. So the negotiations are going to begin, and I think that the county and myself will keep you posted as to how they're going, and obviously ask for your input in the specific examples like Anthony had said.
So should they literally collectively report each and every time an application is affected or denied or scaled down to such a minuscule, project?
I don't think it would. Yeah. I don't think it would hurt.
Yeah. Maybe not every time, but.
I mean, is there anybody at the table that's not affected by the watershed in a negative manner?
Those are significant properties we were talking about.
You're not affected at all?
No, there's no watershed in Phillipstown.
Oh, that's right. You're Phillipstown.
I think it's mostly this side.
I can point out that the town of Kent just went through and we have approved a sewer district along Route 52. And the restrictions there were onerous, very difficult to get through. It's a very small section, limited to just one part of the road. With new capacities, new technology, probably could have been a larger area covered, with the same facility.
Great. So you guys, the floor is yours. I want to hear about issues that you have. Terry.
Thank you. I didn't know if there was a button. Is anybody cataloging the empty storefronts, the vacant spaces that don't have businesses in them?
That's what we're working on.
Okay.
First we have to catalog the buildings, the actual what there is available, what commercial space there are broken down into, however they're broken down into units, and then we can catalog the vacancy rates. But we don't even have that database. We have somewhat of a database, but so collectively we'll work on that so that one entity isn't working on it and the other people don't have the information. And then we'll make that information as public as possible.
you know, for if there's a company that wants to, like Scortino, the Scortino building.
My favorite building.
Yes, you know, that's empty. And
across the street.
We have
across the
empty
street, the
stores.
village, the market.
But that isn't actually in the Village of Brewster.
Right.
But in the Village of Brewster, we have empty stores also.
Yeah, well, and then once we get the database going, we'll be relying on you guys. Like, no phone call is to, oh, by the way, this is vacant now. You know, we have to share the information. We have to come up with a way to communicate with each other, and then be able to track that data on a county level, and on a town level, and on a village level. Is vacancy an issue that you guys are facing?
We've had certain places that have just been vacant forever. The building of 50 Main, and that's a whole other issue. But part of that building is empty on the business level, and the apartments upstairs, they're always full. But right next door to us at 20 Main, half that building's empty, and I don't know about other stuff, but those are the things that I see when I'm downtown.
The village supermarket that just went out across from the Shortino's building, is that in the village or is that in South?
No, that's the town of Southeast.
Because they did make a call to the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. They were very upset, and they feel that their business was really affected by the fact that they couldn't get a sign up for over a year. So things like that are definitely not helping. I know you're not. I'm not, and I am picking on everybody because I know that every town is guilty of that. And then we have the architectural review boards. But to some extreme, we have to make sure that we are business friendly. Business needs a sign in order to do well, especially a business like a supermarket. Go ahead.
I just want to reiterate what you had just said with being business friendly. I have to say, and I'm going to point both of you out right now because it's the one meeting that I had, but I left the meeting from the Village of Brewster so excited about being in Putnam County. It was two individuals that all they said was, we're open for business and we're willing to do whatever it needs to happen within the confines of obviously protecting your municipality to bring business there. And I think from an EDC perspective and IDA, we need to have a streamlined process and an open conversation, open dialogue with all of the municipal leaders throughout the county in order for businesses to come in. The major questions that these companies are asking me when I'm bringing companies in, how is the environment, how is the business environment in the municipality that we're looking in, what incentives are available, how's your workforce? But I'm telling you, the business environment is one of the top 3 questions that is always asked. And I can tell you from my experience when I was in Orange County that there were specific projects that did not land in certain towns because of the town leadership and because of municipal leadership. And you're talking about potentially millions of dollars of tax rateables, jobs, everything. So I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a streamlined process and just really the ability to have an open dialogue with these companies coming in.
All the way down to the sign. After the business
Correct.
has been approved and they're in there, the relationship between you guys and that business it's a contract, basically. You know, we have to all figure out what's going on. If they're not surviving, why aren't they surviving? What can we do? Get to us. We'll do whatever we can. And now we have these guys here, and hopefully we can make a big difference. I have to say that we have a pretty good business community, but I think we could be so much better and so much stronger.
Yeah, I just wonder, have you done any coordination with the Historic Huston Initiative for increased tourism that's coming out of the state? Have you had any contact with them?
Is that the Pathways of History?
Yes.
I haven't. I know Libby Pataki, our tourism director, has. So yes, the county is coordinating with that. And actually just at Thursday's meeting for the Mid-Hudson Regional, they were just giving a presentation on that. So yes, there is coordination at the county level.
All right, because when you talk about bringing cultural groups into it, that should be one group, because what they're trying to do is coordinate all the historic resources, museums, right, historic associations, to develop a database like what you're talking about, related to the infrastructure, get some inputs on increasing the infrastructure to serve that community. So it's the same kind of things you people are doing. It seems like you should be much more closely coordinating your efforts.
We are, and we're also looking at it at even a transportation level, because we're not hitting it
They're on the map.
with our buses. So, you know, whether it's on the weekend or whether it's during the week, I mean, we're just not going to the tourist destinations or the art centers or, you know, any of those things. We're just not hitting. So we're trying to focus on that also. I mean, that's lacking. So I think if we can, you know, shore that up and, you know, it's, I hate to use the three-legged chair, but I mean, it's all tied together, and we all have to work together, and it's all, you know, if one is weak, then it's all weak. So, you know, and I think actually we have a good team now, and we're all working together, and we're all trying to push forward, but it's kind of looking at all the, I mean, there's a lot there, and so it's trying to figure it all out. So we are working together on the tourism. We're trying to bring the buses involved in it. We're trying to, you know, build all those resources. So yes, you're absolutely right, and we're going in that direction.
Yeah, question. In the village of Brewster, we're pretty much built out, and for these dreaded 239 notifications. I think maybe from Christine's husband back in the 70 for her first zoning through Jimmy and Terry and me on the planning board and stuff, we've never gotten a negative notification back of a 239. It's usually because they're so small, and I'm sure you guys are so busy doing everything else. But 8 of us went up to the Planning Federation in the meeting in Saratoga Springs, and one of the things they showed us was MOUs between the county and the various boards in the towns and villages and stuff, where we can waive things. Like we just had a project we went through where one of the restaurants was bumping out and adding into another one, changing the storefront, so they needed a site plan. But with a 30-day notification from 30 days from when you get it, we meet once a month, we're adding like 60 days onto this poor guy's process. So if we anything we can work out about MOUs to shorten this, or maybe we can come up with some kind of procedure that, you know, if we've got something we want to turn around quick for the business owner, you know, I know Richard's gone up previously before as the ZBA and say, hey, how about sending us a local determination notice on this one so we can do it? Because that would really help rush things along a lot, especially in the village, because we haven't had a subdivision go through in recorded
Right.
history and things like that. It really helped.
There's a
Almost everything that comes into the village, everything that comes into the village between the state roads, the municipalities, the waterways, everything has to go to county. There isn't anything that doesn't fall under the
right.
lines that require.
So there's a provision within the state law that requires, upon the agreement of all the municipalities, that it could be a local determination. So that is one thing, actually, when I first got here, that I was asking our county attorneys to look at. Essentially, I would have to go to each town, and village, I should say, I do apologize. So
And
to
actually
each
each board in
municipality
each
and have an
town.
agreement that these certain things,
Right.
architectural review, for an example, right, is a local determination. So essentially, you would just have to notify me, send in a sheet saying this is before you, and then that's it. So Westchester does it, Dutchess does it.
Yeah, a lot of the upstate does it.
Right. So yes, that is one thing I want to do, because I got to tell you, I get some of these and I look at them and I was like, it's nice. Do I really need to spend my time opining
Right.
on it? So yeah, no, absolutely. So what, you know, and again, I guess I can do it by a letter. So I would have to have an agreement from all the municipal boards saying it's okay for certain things. And there's a list I think we can all, off the top of our heads, agree on.
As they showed us up there, you'd need one from the village ZBA,
Mhm.
one from the village, planning board, one from the village, board of trustees. But, they can be tailored, we can all work together. And what makes sense in our little village is probably a lot different than what Tom's got, because he's putting in big things. And, other places, they have unique things, but it'll certainly speed that down and makes it business friendly.
Absolutely.
Because now we sit down there and we say, okay, our meeting's the 4th Tuesday. Okay, let's have the special meeting the 2nd Tuesday, because the 30 days will have gone by, and now we can approve this thing. But we know we're going to approve it, but we just got to wait that extra time. Thank you.
No, I absolutely agree, and that's actually one of the things with the new planner that I'm looking at bringing on board. So I do want to streamline that. I also want to you know, I kind of want to look at the process. I think there's a better way of actually you getting the information to us and also getting the correct information to us. Not that anybody's doing anything wrong. Again, I think it's a system that, at least from the county level, I should say, hasn't been looked at since forever. So there are better ways of doing it. There are certain things, again, that are local determination. And I should say, you know, again, I've been on the local level for about 16, 17 years. And, you know, 13 of those were in Peekskill, and every time we had to send it to the county, I was like, oh man, how long is this gonna take? I mean, what are they gonna say? And so when I got here, I kept getting these 239Ms. I was like, now what do I do? I'm that guy.
We would certainly like to unburden you when, you know.
No, but there's certain things I should look at. There's some very large projects. We just got one from Carmel regarding the McDonald's, so there is, you know, some traffic circulation we want to look at. I mean, there's some, but I get some of them, and you know, there's a better way to do it.
You know, that brings to mind, I know in Southeast, and I forgot what you're calling it, you have that meeting where you have representatives from each board, and somebody who has a potential project can come and meet with you guys at one time. What are you calling that?
Staff review.
Staff review meeting. So basically, they have a representative from planning, zoning, what else? Town.
We have a town planner, we have our engineer there, we have
Town
board member,
engineer, town board member, and consultants. Have you guys implemented that in your different municipalities and villages? Anybody?
We do it as part of our planning process itself, that anyone with a potential project comes to preview it with the planning board before they submit their application.
With just the planning board?
Yeah, most of our stuff is planning board. I don't know if Richard can remember the last time he ever held a ZBA meeting in
Because
our
your village, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anthony, could you?
We don't have anybody, we don't have anything with somebody like you talked about from zoning and planning and
So it
and
would
the
be
board.
more on a town level.
Mhm.
But Anthony, could you talk about that for a second? We had a conversation about it the other day, about putting those sort of things in place in each town. I know you're not going to lay down the law because you can't, but just how that functions and how that makes things a little bit, because whenever we say streamline the process, we get a lot of feedback like, oh, you can't give businesses favoritism and so on and so forth. But at the same time, I have seen people put applications before one board, get postponed, when they could have been already told no by the other board that it's not feasible, it's never going to happen. They're spending money on engineers, they're spending money on attorneys, when in one simple meeting, they probably could. I'm looking for the no's on this. Not that I want no's, but I think you follow what I'm saying. And I think that's where we get a lot of we're not business friendly sort of reputation from. And it's like running around and round and round in circles, and we get almost a reputation that nobody knows what they're doing because they can't get a straight answer. So can you just talk about that for a second, how you've seen that be effective?
Sure. Actually, in Peekskill, we did something very similar. It would be a pre-application conference, and depending on the level, you know, I would make a determination of which staff member had to be there. There was a fee, but essentially it was, you know, we would make sure that anybody that needed to be there, whether it was the building inspector, the zoning coordinator, sometimes our public works because we had water and sewer, if it required an engineer. So, you know, we would look at it, we would determine who would need to be there, and we'd go through all the issues, and this is the process, and these are the fees, and this is what you have to do, this is what we're going to be looking at, and this will be our recommendation. I can tell you in town of Fishkill, they do something very similar. We just have a planning board secretary, we have an engineering consultant, but so those two people and the planning board chair, who's a volunteer, obviously, they would meet with applicants, and they'll go through, you know, kind of look at the process, look at what's coming down, does it need a variance, does it not, you know, and try to, you know, coordinate those activities because they can also be run concurrently. You can go through, you know, the zoning board and the planning board review at the same time. You know, I think it's helpful because it's also good to get everything in the process and to get all the boards, because sometimes there's a lot of issues involved. So to get all the eyes on it is a good thing. You know, if it needs a variance, you need to know up front because that could prolong things. If there's something you need to know for planning, maybe there's more information you need, so let's have it up front. But I mean, I think also it brings up a good point with the, you know, with my involvement, if there's something in the, you know, instead of just mailing it to me, if, you know, you can call, or if there's something you need me to come out and look at, I mean, I can, you know, we can work together on some of these things. There's a procedural review, obviously I have to do, but, you know, a phone call, certainly we can talk about these things too, so.
You know, I've heard this argument before, and I've heard what Jen just said about why can't people learn early on that this application is going to fail. The problem is due process. If I go to a judge, I'm about to try a case for a week, and I go to a judge and I say, listen, how do you think this is going to turn out? If he tells me, then that's a failure of the system. An applicant has to go through the entire process to find out if he really has a shot. He might be able to salvage a weak application.
Right. No, you can never, I didn't mean to be misled, you can't tell anybody they cannot submit it. They have every right to submit an application, but you can certainly guide them and say, look, this is not going to be look favorable because of X, whatever. So they can then go back and submit a better application, or, you know, again, you can tell them, you know, the board isn't going to look favorable because of, you know, people are going to, can't cross the street, or whatever the reason is. So, you know, they can still submit it. You can't tell them they can't.
As long as I get the microphone from Jennifer, I just want to ask, last meeting that we had, Tom said something that I couldn't sleep for 2 nights. You mentioned that New York City is working under a tax certiorari moratorium. I don't know if that's the right word, but they cannot bring a tax certiorari proceeding now. Is that part of the agreement that expires in 2015?
I believe so. Don't quote me that. How do we get that? Well, once again, I'm not an expert in it. All I know is time's coming up to talk about all the issues under the agreement.
Yeah, at the present time, and for the last number of years, New York City has not been able to bring a certiorari proceeding on all of their land holdings. And soon they will be able to. And that's one major thing that has to be negotiated into the new agreement. Thanks, Jim.
I just want to go back 1 second to the staff meeting where you have everybody present. I think there's a huge benefit to the municipalities for that, for knowing your inventory, knowing what could possibly go there, what couldn't possibly go there, and what process whoever is possibly looking to do something on those lots or locations gets an awareness of how to go through that process, but also the owner of the property. I mean, I could see raising property values because we would actually know what our potentials are. So,
I'd like to defend the boards a little bit here. Our planner does what you say. He sits down with people. When we get notes, it's what are potential references, referrals, what other issues are involved, what zoning, so on. But after that process, we get a plan that has nothing to do with the rules, with the codes, with the state codes, with DEC, with anything else. It's as if they had never talked to us. It's as if they'd never talked to anyone. We send it back, and it comes back long notes of revisions. They ignore the notes on the revisions and send back the same plan. So sometimes it's the business owner or the business consultant who tells the owner, yeah, you can have anything you want. And they shouldn't be saying that. It's a two-way street here. We have sign issues. We want business in town, but there are codes of how big you can have the sign. We had somebody come before us the other night who wants to put up a billboard, essentially, and the code clearly says a 30-square-foot sign. So why then bring a 60-square-foot sign before the board? I mean, that's another part of, I think, what the business community needs to do with the business community, that we are bound by certain restrictions ourselves, especially in the watershed. And they need to be sensitive to that. New York State is changing its rules and changing its codes. Their consultants need to know those changes so that they're not wasting money and submitting plans that are under the old rules and not under the new rules. We've seen that.
Well, the new rules need to be accessible.
They're on a website.
Most towns and counties outside here, you can get all the information on property, zoning code, everything right on websites. So I'd love to see that increased in all the different towns, and that's something that some do, some don't. just everything, accessible online. And it would make, because we're dealing with mostly small business owners who do not have access to hiring expensive engineers and expensive attorneys. They're doing it on their spare time while they're trying to run a business. So of course they're going to make mistakes. And we would like to be able to serve to communicate the information that you guys need to get to people before they put in projects as well. Getting it all on one website so somebody can just, and the EDC will be a huge part of that, I'm sure. Right?
I'd like to touch on what Ron said. I think part of what the boards have to do, because we see it all the time, plans come in front of us, and they're just outside the code. We need to better inform the applicant. And someone who's going through the development process now, it is confusing. And if you're not up to speed on it, it's very difficult. So I think streamlining the process, giving as much information, that initial staff meeting, and making sure the engineering consultant is on board and knows where to reference the material. And I think it would stream things quite a bit.
Yeah. I've been on the board for over 20-something years, I think 22, 23 years. And I've watched the economy change in that period of time. When the economy was good, the engineers would come in, they'd be out within 1 or 2 meetings. The economy is now bad, the engineers are holding on forever. And what you're talking about is a pure thing with the economy. And I think we all know it, and we all know who the people are who come before us. And it's like they come in, it used to be years ago when everything was booming and somebody would come in, one meeting you were out, and it was all nice and dandy. Now it's 6, 7. I mean, we're dragging these things out forever. And, people come back and they say, oh, in the town of Kent, I can't get through the board. It's not our problem. And it's the fact that the economy is bad. There's people out there who aren't making any money. And, we're there for the more meetings, the more money. So it's not, it's not the boards. I think the boards don't want to hang on to these things. I know we don't. As fast as you come in, you want them out. I don't want to hang on to these files.
One more thing I wanted to say in streamlining, not just within the town process, but let the applicant know the DEC, the DEP, and the county are all involved, and to help with that entire process, because it starts at ground zero, right where we are.
That's what I was just going to touch on too. The EDC, so I'm just going to refer back to Orange County where I came from. The EDC was the first point of contact that businesses had coming in. And what we did was lay out the entire approval process that these businesses needed to go through, starting from the planning board to DEC to any approvals that they needed to have, or just assisted them and put them in contact with the person that they needed to get the information from. And I can tell you, I've sat through numerous planning board meetings, and I totally agree with you. Sometimes it's completely on the applicant. Sometimes the majority, and I'm going to say the majority of the time, and I know I'm going to shoot myself for saying that, but it is, it is, but they're misinformed before the meeting. So that's where I see the EDC coming in and being a resource for these businesses. I will act as a free private consultant for businesses coming into Putnam County. So the more assistance that I can give them, the easier it's going to be for all of us moving them through the approval process.
I know these two will probably hit me for saying this, but after working with the applicant, and if they submitted an application, I can just tell you from my experience, and it wasn't complete, or it wasn't, if it didn't meet the code, they wouldn't go on. They wouldn't make an agenda. And, you have to talk about that with your own boards and your own attorneys, but, you have your own, town codes and zoning codes, so if it wasn't complete and it didn't meet the code, it couldn't go on an agenda. And, and it sounds like you're holding them, but in the end, you're kind of really helping them, because the more complete the application is, and the more complete it meets all the standards and it meets all the zoning code, the faster it's going to make everybody's life and the better the project. So sometimes that has to be, I know that's not, what everybody wants to do, but sometimes that actually is the best thing.
You have a problem with small town, though.
As
to, I used to work for a company, and we would build large buildings in Manhattan. And if you're building in Manhattan, you know the things, and you go and you get consultants, you build skyscrapers. But up here, you go in, and the person that you're meeting is a clerk. And the clerk doesn't know from zoning or doesn't know from planning. So until you get these applications, you have no idea about, you know, unless you get the application, you put it on the agenda, then you take a look at it. And
No,
when the
in every
people
case,
come in.
you're absolutely right. Every case is different, and I recognize, you know.
Yeah, because we're just small little burgs up here.
No, but even with the planning board, I think, you know, because I know a lot of planning boards, they first do the work session, right, and they'll review it, and then they can schedule it. So, I mean, even at that work session, you can say, these are the things, and, you know, don't come back until, so it still can be done. I think it, you know, again, it's trying to work together. I mean, and don't get me wrong, you're going to get the applicant that just doesn't want to work with you. I understand that. Because I worked for a small town, and it was the same thing. It was, we'd always have the work session before, and we'd go through it, and then they would come. So there are still ways to do it, I think. But I recognize everybody's different.
Yeah, and in the village, we do that with the planning board. Come in here in informal session. Have any lawyers in here?
No,
He doesn't count. He's shorter than me.
Our planning board lawyer absolutely hates that whole thing, but we just ignore him and go ahead and do it anyways, because he doesn't want anything said.
Public meeting?
Public meeting, till the application's in. He doesn't want us discussing it, talking about it, trying to solve these problems. Again, you don't have enough parking, you got to get a variance and stuff like that. I know our lawyer just absolutely hates it, but, you know, we just ignore him, so it's, you know, that's it. You shouldn't be talking to these guys, and we say, okay, shut up, and we're going to go ahead and do it.
Good. Good for you guys. Tom, is it working in Southeast, your staff meetings?
Absolutely. I agree with everything that's been said here in terms of, we won't let you on board until everything's complete. It's really, you know, we actually, it's a courtesy to them to say, listen, don't spend your money. We're telling you don't show up until you complete. And it's been working. And, you know, I think every town should do it. It just cuts the process down. Can I shift gears 2 seconds here?
Yes, you may.
I just was wondering from a county level, the state of the county, the Marianne Liddell talked about clusters herself in terms of what we're working on. And one of the biggest ones that was pretty exciting to me that I heard was trying to attract a university here. Okay? And I think that needs to be more publicized. I think they're working on it. I don't understand what's going on behind the scenes, but it was an exciting kind of initiative that every town should know about, because there could be some, you know, additional businesses spawn from that one initiative. So I'd like to see the county be more informative about what's going on in terms of that level, and it's because I think, you know, that is a big economic driver, and if there's other towns in the area that can help out, I think we should be aware of what's going on and being brought to the table early.
I agree 100%. And I didn't even realize until I was on the Red Carpet Committee, which is supported by 2 other county colleges, how much of a role they play in the business community. I had no clue, honestly. So, and just what it does for even the students shopping in our areas and living here, and for housing, and just on and on and on. It's a huge economic factor. Do you have an update?
I do, and I'm looking at Tom and saying to stop because I can't talk about a lot of the details. But the county is the county and the EDC are working on a few things to bring some type of university or some type of higher educational institution to the county. I know I'm speaking very vague, but I have to. I can't, you know, for confidentiality reasons, there's certain things that I can't share with everybody. As soon as we do have updates that we can share, I promise you we will be doing that. But it is a major initiative that the county executive is putting forth, and she has all hands on deck to try to make sure that it happens.
You know, Megan, I hope that you take into consideration the terrible, terrible burden that the local schools are under right now. And the fact that they have classrooms that are empty at night, they're empty on the weekends. If a university, I know in Mayapack we rent some classrooms to Westchester Community College.
Absolutely.
But if a university came up here and utilized the school and paid rent to the school, that'd be a win-win-win right across the board. That'd be great.
The discussion of satellite campuses and things like that has absolutely been on the table, and you know, that's definitely being taken under consideration.
That would probably be the one thing that just turned everything around. I mean, it's huge. It's huge on a really huge level. So, does anybody else have anything they want to bring up? Okay. So, first I want to say that this is a two-way street. Putnam County Chambers of Commerce basically represents all the local chambers of commerce and business associations. Give it back to us. And we're not trying to pick on anybody. We're trying to open up communication, share information. Once we have databases going and all this stuff, I think we're going to see a lot of changes. But give it back to us. If there's things that you feel that the Chamber of Commerce needs to be doing that they're not doing, or any ideas that you think would be helpful, we would love to hear them. We will be getting in touch with pretty much everybody in the room and some people that aren't in the room. We want to work really hard on getting those vacancies filled while we have these guys here sort of working on a larger level. We want to make sure that the commerce districts are not forgotten about. And when you see these big projects put forward, you get sort of the vocal minority out afraid of the larger projects. And you know what? They're right. They're right. Because oftentimes I think, why are we thinking about putting in more retail or more of this and more of that when we haven't solved the problem of our vacancy rates in our commerce districts, such as the Village of Brewster and other areas. Mayapack too, we were riding high and now we're starting to see some vacancies. So we definitely want to focus on that. We also are going to be in touch with each town and each village to identify improvement projects that we would like to take the lead on, where we will get together with the larger corporations for help with funding. We will rally the volunteers to get the projects done. We will look for in-kind trades from countywide corporations. And we will work with the municipalities and whatever we have to do to get improvements. We did something like that in Mayapack a few years ago. We improved the entire park. I don't know if you've been down and you've seen the park in the last few years, but it's beautiful. We got the stone walls put up, we got flowers put up, and lights and all crosswalks and all kinds of cool things. So we would like to spearhead that in each of your towns and villages without it costing a lot of money, because we know you guys don't have any. So we will be in touch with you guys, and we will reconvene. We will be handing this meeting over to Anthony to meet with you guys. We will sort of be stepping a little bit back from this side and get back into the business community. We started this meeting because we felt we wanted to see a more countywide communication effort, databases, information sharing going forward. So I thank you all for being here. Do you guys have anything else you want to say?
The only thing that I want to say is that I'm going to personally be reaching out to each of you too with the for assistance on the database and properties and such. The EDC is going to be completely revamping our website. My very aggressive goal is to have it completed by June 1st, but it's most likely going to be a little bit later. But I'm going to try to stick to that June 1st deadline. But with that being said, I would like the EDC website to really be a resource for everybody, not only businesses coming in and businesses here, but for yourselves as well. So if there's any information that you see is missing or is lacking, please let me know. And I would be happy to do some research. There's going to be demographic studies on there. There's going to be links to resources for Department of Labor. There's going to be a lot on there that I think you'll all see as very useful information. So again, if once it's up and running, if there's anything that's missing, please feel free to reach out to me.
I just wanted to reiterate, again, I'm also looking at doing the same thing with our website. But any information or anything I can do, please, give me a call, I'll leave cards. But before, I did want to gauge, I mentioned it briefly, I mean, if I set up a training opportunity, is that something that everybody feels is a good thing, is a bad thing? I mean, as long as it's focused on, again, the first one, so it'll probably be basic, but as we go through these things, if it's something we want to keep doing, then you need to tell me what you want to learn, so.
Brewster, almost all our boards have, for the last several years, been attending training and meeting these, and meeting the state requirement for training by going up to Saratoga Springs.
Oh, Saratoga. Oh, they've been doing it at the Federation.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So I think that unless people are particularly interested in a particular topic that you might be discussing, our boards are where they need to be and continue to try to be for our village. which is really thrilling that we do
No,
that.
it is, but I think one thing.
But unless you're doing something that's focused county planning.
But I think one thing that's important, that the training is great, the federation, that's absolutely great, but I think what's I find always important at these things, and I think it's important for everyone in the county to get together, is that you don't really learn, let's face it, somebody talking, I mean, we've probably learned something new, but you really learn by talking to, everybody else, somebody else who's on another board, somebody who's on a zoning board or a planning board, how another member of the town, and it's really going to be more important because we're all in the same county. So yes, we can learn things from other county, other people, but I think really the focus, I think it's important and that's great that you're all up to speed. But I think the real education comes from talking amongst each other. So that's how I always see it.
So you're talking about something more interactive than lecture-based.
Yes, yes. But again, something also that's important to everybody, so maybe one time it'll be one thing, another time, it'll be something else.
Yeah, Tony, I just had a couple of things because Pete's been asking me to write them down and I've been, delinquent. I think one thing that would be nice for all the boards to know is if you told us how your office works. Like, I have no idea how many times you guys a month meet to review 239Ns. How we could interact with that. What's your procedure when you get some of this stuff in? Because, for us, if it's, small things that just get shuffled off because I'm working the big things, is there a way that we could, go up and say, hey, would you look at this one real quick? Do you meet, what do you do that? And I know for the training seekers changing this fall, that's a new one because they didn't have that at the Planning Federation, and they're changing the environmental impact statements. So things like that would be good. But I think for most of us, I think everybody's been on there, because we went to the Westchester Planning last year, and it was 1 hour on zoning 101. You must have 5 members. They must be, and that Westchester did that, and they all got their 4-hour tickie and learned nothing other than the law changes and stuff that came out. But those are just some ideas you might want to throw up for your first training.
No, and I agree. I don't think we're at the 101 level anymore. But I think it's important what we all just said. Our boards went to Saratoga. Our boards go to Westchester. And I know boards that go to Dutchess. I mean, I think that's significant that why can't there be training, here? I'm not saying you can't do it. I mean, that's great. I mean, I've done it. Spent a lot of money at the restaurants in Saratoga. I mean, it's a great time. But
for us here.
But again, I think it's also important for us to learn together. And seekers, who understands seeker? So, I mean, I think that would be a great one. So, in the 239Ms, I mean, again, that's a process that I want to work on better. I think it's better if I have a standard form that you know what to submit, and also if I can come and get an agreement from the municipality, certain things are local jurisdiction, that would streamline the process. Right now, the process is a stack comes into my office, I put it on my table, and I start to go through them. So when I get some new members, new staff on, I think that'll be their process, and for them to set it up, and maybe to even something on, to have the form a PDF or an interactive form on the website, that'll make it easier too. So, those are the things I want to look at. I mean, I don't, operational, I can go through, when I walked in the office, all the different operational changes I started to make, how to do things better. I'm trying to get everybody, more integrated in different types of software and using the web and using, the computers more. I'm streamlining the operations for our, our bus operations, trying to streamline our operations for just everyday, interactions, less paper. So I can go through hours on that stuff, but I don't know if everybody wants to listen to me.
One thing, the Village of Brewster is about to review their comprehensive plan, and in discussion, maybe one of the things we lack in our local village is somebody with deep experience in redeveloping an already developed area. Putnam County, to a large degree, is the development of raw land. The economics are slightly different, I think, when you have to acquire existing properties that have values and then have an end package that leaves a project that's attractive to a developer. Can the county lend any advice on the economics of redevelopment?
Who wants to go first? Do you want to? Okay. The short answer is yes. So obviously, the significant majority of my experience is in Peekskill. So I would have to say, I know when we met, I kind of felt like I was home again, sort of. So yes, I've done that. We've done urban renewal plans. I'm not saying you're doing those. I'm just giving you my experience. We've done eminent domain. We've done infill redevelopment. The grants that we've gotten, Main Street grants from the state, Peekskill is very good. We've gotten, I think at last count it was 5, 8, probably over $1 million for the Main Street grants, which were facade improvements, upper floor improvements. We focused on the redevelopment of the downtown, which was core to Peekskill. And once you got kind of one in, then what we were finding was even during the recession, the downtown was booming and redevelopment was happening. So it was kind of literally going, store by store and block by block. So, the restaurants were, and you also need an anchor, and this is where, again, Peekskill had the Paramount, I know there's the Cameo, so you can do those type of things. So I do have experience, I know Megan will have experience, so we can, and we've talked about, again, sitting on your comp plan review, I'm doing that with the town of Southeast. I offer that to any municipality in town that wants us to sit on those reviews. But yes, there are things that we can do that we can advise on. Again, it's, I want to make clear that I don't want to come in, it's not going to be, and I made this clear and to Southeast, and I think it was good, that it's not going to be me telling you what to do. I'll be there as an advisor and experience and examples, but it's yours, and it should be yours, so I don't want that to be a fear.
And I think what you had said too, it's the repositioning of existing buildings, and just really kind of thinking outside the box. And I know we had discussed certain things. I can tell you in the town of Warwick in Orange County, they repositioned the Mid-Orange Correctional Facility to bode well to a agricultural school for a Chinese firm to come in to reposition the Mid-Orange Correctional Facility, which was closed down by the state, as an agricultural school. Now, this facility, I know it sounds absolutely bizarre, but it is beautiful. It was a prison, but it is absolutely gorgeous, and they repositioned it. They were thinking outside the box. The town supervisor was very adamant about getting new business in and getting this building back on the tax rolls and all of these different things. So I think I did some work in the city of Newburgh as well, which I'm sure if anybody knows, yeah, right, I know the faces, it's terrible. But they are moving forward, and they are repositioning decrepit, old, broke down buildings, and they're getting these buildings on the tax rolls. They're bringing in jobs. They're bringing in beautiful buildings, and a lot of them are in historic districts and all of these different things. So I know both Anthony and I would be more than willing to sit down with you and just kind of vet through and really just brainstorm on anything that we can help with.
So now that we have tomorrow filled up.
I know.
Yeah, we have a lot to do, and I know that all of you spend a lot of your own personal time working for your municipalities and your villages, and I appreciate that greatly. I think we have a great resource here. Just the fact that we're here together shows that we're all looking to do the same things. We have our general meeting and our big party for the year at Las Mananitas, and if you haven't been that's with the old Capriccios on May, what is it? 23rd. May 23rd. We will be rolling out like a more detailed version of our community development project, and we would really like to include all of you in that rollout. So I hope that you can attend that event and that we can continue working together, even though we probably won't be taking the lead at this meeting anymore. We want to make sure that we're in communication with you guys and that we're serving any purposes that you may need. We are available. We're mostly volunteer operation, but we make ourselves available to you guys. Did you have something else?
I was just going to say, what day is it?
It's Thursday. It is a Thursday, and it's going to be fabulous. It's going to be indoors, outdoors. It's going to be a lot of fun, we truly are looking forward. And I also wanted to add, we are going to be getting the school districts involved in our community development project. sort of, we need to bring them to the table a little bit as well when it comes to supporting the business communities, and I'm sure that you all agree with that. So, what's May 11th? Oh.
Oh, and Sunday.
What's Sunday?
May 5th, the Putnam Cycling
yes.
Classic and the Spring Festival in the village of Cold Spring.
You guys think I know this stuff?
I know. I
don't know.
You know how many things are going on. Saturday and Sunday, the Flower Festival is going on. Libby Pataki, director of tourism, has been doing a phenomenal job on marketing that, and also the cycling class, or the Putnam, thank you. Ridge Hill Putnam Cycling Classic is taking place on the 5th on Sunday.
It's an international event.
It's an international. It's a UCI, which is I'm not even sure what the acronym stands for, but I know it's a very big deal for bikers. It's an international race, and it's the first one in the area, in the States. So
it'll be bringing a lot of
huge
people
deal
throughout the county. So anyway, thank you all so much for your time. See you May 11th. See you May 5th. See you May 23rd. Thank you.